All right, guys, welcome to the Monday Directions. Just doing notes today. So today we'll actually get things started. We'll see the first military conflict between the two sides, and we'll see the war become inevitable by both sides here. But let's get to that point. When we got done yesterday, we had the first Continental Congress where they were boycotting, and then we're going to meet in a year to see how the boycott was going. But like we said, some big events happened in between that year, which kind of changed the agenda for the second meeting that's going to take place here in about a year. So today revolves around the militia, a group of citizens who would be ready to fight in an emergency, kind of like each town would have their own National Guard ready to go. The Minutemen are kind of like the elite members of that. So it's members of the militia who could be ready to fight at a minute's notice. Minutemen were usually 25 years of age or younger, and they were selected from the militia for their enthusiasm, reliability, and strength. So the Minutemen are kind of just the elite forces of the militia. Normally young men who are showing extreme enthusiasm for the cause here. So the colonies unite. We will abandon our city to flames before paying a penny for lost tea. Other colonies rush to support the Bostonians. Virginia, which was probably Virginia is like a really powerful colony at this time. An attack made on one of our sister colonies, an attack made of all British America. So Virginia basically showing support to Boston and the Bay, Massachusetts Bay area, all those things. So colonists take action. Merchants and other colonies closed their shops to oppose treatment of colonists in Massachusetts. Virginia called for a meeting of delegates from all the colonies to find a solution. Towns and cities began organizing their militias to prepare for a fight. We get this guy named Patrick Henry. He urges colonies to start thinking of themselves as one people, Americans. So right now, people are still thinking they're British, right? We're British Americans. Well, this Patrick Henry guy comes out with a little pamphlet or kind of just a little reading, and the reading says that we should stop saying that we're British because we're not. We don't have the same customs. We live so far away, and we should start seeing ourselves as one people, Americans. So this is where the switch starts to happen. And Patrick Henry goes down. He's a really important guy in the whole Revolutionary War. You know, for example, there's a high school named after him in Minneapolis Patrick Henry High School, and they're the Minneapolis Patrick Henry High School Patriots. And that all comes from this Patrick Henry right here. The big event between the colonies and the British Army that kind of is like the spark that starts the war is the conflict at Lexington and Concord. This is the shot heard around the world. This is probably the official start of the war between the two sides. And so here's what's happening. So as the Redcoats are going to come to, there's two things they're looking for, okay? Concord and Lexington are two like suburbs of Boston. And the Redcoats catch wind that John Hancock and Sam Adams are hiding out in these towns. Remember now, these two people have now been formally charged with like treason. So they want them to be hanged or at least go to court. So Adams and Hancock, they flee Boston, and they're hiding out in Lexington and Concord. Now, there also is some weapon stashes at Concord that the British know about, and they're going to go send troops to seize the weapons at Concord, and also if they happen to catch Sam Adams or John Hancock, that's okay. So, the kind of the word gets out that the next day, the Redcoats are going to be heading out to Lexington and then Concord. So the British are coming, right? As the Redcoats headed to Concord, Massachusetts, Paul Revere and another rider mounted their horses. They ran fast as they could toward Lexington and Concord, yelling, "The regulars are coming! The regulars are coming!" Again, a lot of people think it's the British are coming or the Redcoats are coming, but remember now, everyone thinks they're British still at this point. So if you said the British are coming, you'd basically be just saying that other people like you are coming, which is everybody. So by yelling the regulars, the British regular army, those are the Redcoats. If you are part of the British regular army, you get to wear a red coat. So a lot of the people just call them the regulars. Nope, the regulars are here. Okay, so we got some regulars down the street. The regulars just mean redcoats. Okay, so the regulars are coming. Regulars are coming. Paul Revere was able to wake up enough of the colonial Minutemen so they were prepared to fight. They had some type of alarm system set up where Paul Revere would go talk to one guy, and that guy would go talk to another guy, and that guy would ride and go talk to another guy. So it's kind of like a domino effect to make sure everyone wakes up. Besides Paul Revere, there are also some other people that are with him. other famous guy, his name is William Dawes. He snuck out of Boston to warn the surrounding towns that the British were coming as well. By midnight, every Minuteman was ready and had known about the British plan. Paul Revere had 3 friends signal the British advances to the Patriots. If the British came by land, they would put a lantern in the Old North Church. If the British were coming by sea, they would place 2 lanterns to burn in the Old North Church. The British soldiers were no match for the Minutemen because the element of surprise was gone. But this is a big one. They basically had a system set up in the Old North Church to kind of let people know. Sometimes they would just come down the coast. The regulars would just sail down the coast and kind of do like a amphibious invasion, like a D-Day invasion, where they come storm the beaches. So they kind of had this system set up with the Old church to kind of keep people informed, but doing it secretive enough where like the people who were supporting the British were on that side, they wouldn't know what's going on. All right, so the Colonials' weapons are stored in Concord, a town near Boston. The British sneak in to steal them, but well-prepared militia led by the Sons of Liberty waits for them. The British order the Minutemen home, but a shot is accidentally fired, and a brief battle leaves 8 colonists dead. And this takes place on the Old North Bridge in Concord. So, the Minutemen aren't standing down, the regulars aren't standing down. All of a sudden, a shot gets fired, and then if you're in that tense of a situation, obviously your first thought is to fire back. And it's one of those things, the British say that the Americans fired first, we say that the British fired first. So it's kind of one of those he said, she said situations. It's lost to history. No one knows who fired the first shot. We just know that it was fired. All right, so it begins. The Revolutionary War is officially on. You can see here, British troops come to Concord, search for weapons and gunpowder in Concord, colonists fight British soldiers at Concord North Bridge, and then when the regulars try to run back to Boston on retreat, they're being shot at and they're being hit by the countryside, and the Americans are hiding behind trees, or they're hiding in buildings, shooting out, we're not lining up. All these things are ungentlemanly in warfare, and you can kind of see the whole map here. Your assignment today, the Second Continental Congress is big too. We'll talk about this for a second. Delegates from all 13 colonies met in Philadelphia. One of the big decisions that gets made at the Second Continental Congress is that George Washington gets selected to be the general of the Continental Army. So let's write this down because this is actually really important. This will be on the quiz. So when does George Washington get chosen to be the leader of the army? It's at the Second Continental Congress. So let's write that down. That's for sure a big one. Olive Branch Petition. This is kind of the last-ditch effort by the colonies to get King George III to be back on their side. So we extend the olive branch. We extend our last kind of, hey, we can still change this. We don't have to go to war. But here's the things that we need to take place. The king sees the list of demands and does not like it. And so he refuses. We get another battle at Bunker Hill, which was actually fought on Breed's Hill. And this is where we get the colonial army shows what they have. They don't win the battle, but they take less casualties and they kill a bunch of British. Basically, the colonies, or the colonial army at this time, lost because they literally ran out of ammunition. They couldn't fire anymore, so they had to retreat. All right? So that's kind of the big thing here. So it showed that the army can do its job, they can compete, and they necessarily don't have the right equipment or the amount of stuff yet. We'll get to that point, but if we are well equipped, we can hold our own, is kind of what people are feeling. So turn this in today. You can just turn it in. Just submit it under the review video, and I'll take a look at this so you guys can kind of read through the directions here. You're just going to answer these 5 questions as a postcard. You're sending it to somebody. Oh. Yeah, once you get done, just turn it in. Talk to you later.